Each of these pillars of culture is harnessed against the family. You see this when Press Secretary Jen Psaki made a statement during a press conference about the Florida Parental Rights and Education Bill. You will see how she posits that even for children with gender dysphoria, transitioning them with hormones and with surgery is, well, listen to her say it for yourself.
Last item for you before we get to your questions. Across the country, as we've talked about a bit in here, Republican elected officials are engaging in a disturbing, cynical trend of attacking vulnerable transgender kids for purely partisan political reasons. Today in Alabama, instead of focusing on critical kitchen table issues like the economy, COVID, or addressing the country's mental health crisis, Republican lawmakers are currently debating legislation that, among many things, would target trans youth with tactics that threatens to put pediatricians in prison if they provide medically necessary, life-saving health care for the kids they serve. Just like the extreme government overreach we've seen in Texas, where politicians have sent state officials into the homes of loving parents to investigate them for abuse just to harass and intimidate the LGBTQI plus community, today's vote in Alabama will only serve to harm kids. But Alabama's lawmakers and other legislators who are contemplating these discriminatory bills have been put on notice by the Department of Justice and the Department of Health and Human Services that laws and policies preventing care that healthcare professionals recommend for transgender minors may violate the Constitution and federal law. To be clear, every major medical association agrees that gender-affirming healthcare for transgender kids is a best practice and potentially life-saving. All of this begs an important question. What are these policies actually trying to solve for? LGBTQI plus people can't be erased or forced back into any closets, and kids across our nation should be allowed to be who they are, without the threat that their parents or their doctor could be imprisoned simply for helping them and loving them. President Biden has committed in both words and actions to fight for all Americans and will not hesitate to hold these states accountable.
So what has she done here? She's trying to destroy the family, certainly, but she's using the law. She's using the law to try to dismantle the nuclear family. Because if as a culture, we define a certain standard of care as the appropriate standard of care, meaning any parent that does not meet that standard of care is neglect, they're negligent, they are abusive perhaps, then the government is allowed to step in and remove that child from the parent's home. This is what Psaki is. This is her proposition, that if you refuse to transition your child, if they have gender dysphoria, that you are not meeting a standard of care, that you are being negligent or perhaps abusive. This is hijacking the law, which destroys this cultural institution as it is, but hijacking it to turn it into the circular firing squad aimed at the family. We see this in the pillar of culture Gramsci describes as the media too. In two ways, actually. The first way we see is simply social media that has been, of course, I mean, I don't need to tell you about this, you know this. Social media has been compromised. It's been compromised and harnessed to serve as an assault weapon against another of the pillars of culture, against children. Look at what's happening. So YouTube for Kids is ostensibly a safe place for children to go on YouTube, where, graphic things, violent things, sexual things, age-inappropriate things don't populate. This is supposed to be just children's programming on YouTube, yet this is what we see on YouTube Kids.
This one has a penis. It's a boy. This one has a vulva. It's a girl.
Whoa, let's hit the brakes, people. The way your body looks on the outside is only part of the story.
What?
Stay with me, gang. Your sex refers to your physical body parts, remember? But there is also something called gender, which is how you feel inside your body and who you know yourself to be. And your gender, how you feel on the inside, doesn't always match the sex you were called when you were born.
Well, what if you were born with a penis and you know you're a girl inside, not a boy?
Then your sex and your gender don't match. The body parts you were born with don't always dictate who you are, how you feel, or what you like to play with.
That's such a relief.
Figuring out what feels right for you is just part of growing up.
Queer kid stuff.
Today, we're going to talk about gender.
Boys can't wear dresses, can they?
Well, why not? You should wear whatever clothes make you feel like the best version of yourself. People who are trans do not identify with the gender doctors tell them they are when they are born. We're going to talk about what it means to be trans in a later episode.
But Lindsay, I still don't know if I'm a boy or a girl.
Well, Teddy, did you know that some people aren't boys or girls? When you meet someone, just ask them what their pronoun is. What's your pronoun, Teddy?
I don't feel like a she or a he, so I guess my pronoun is they.
Meet the Gender Unicorn. You can check it out at transstudent.org/gender. I'm pretty sure I'm gay, which means when I'm physically attracted to somebody else, they are usually male. Romantically or emotionally attracted to. Physical attraction and romantic emotional attraction sometimes match and sometimes they do not. That an individual's physical, romantic and emotional attraction to another person can depend on, and is certainly not limited to, that person's sex assigned at birth, their gender expression, and their gender identity.
So how many of the pillars of culture identified by Gramsci can we now see have been hijacked, compromised, and turned against the fourth pillar? So it's three. It's education, the law, and media. Have all three of those have been hijacked, they've been harnessed, and they've been turned against the fourth pillar, which is the family. Children are an integral part of the family.